Well, it looks like Angel Reese, it looks like she's just been caught in what could certainly be taken as in a lie. All right? All these things that she says she has dealt with over the last year, all these encounters of racism.
The most coddled, babied professional athlete in all of sports continues to be the most babied and coddled professional athlete in all of sports. Continues to have her peers say, "You go, girl. You be unapologetically yourself. Don't worry how rude, how arrogant, and how disrespectful you are. Don't worry about all the lies that you perpetrate. Don't worry about that."
Angel Reese just did something no one expected. She exposed herself on live TV. One off-script moment, and suddenly, weeks of headlines, investigations, and outrage are being questioned. Because what Reese said, it completely shattered the narrative. Her PR team probably wished they could rewind the cameras, but it was too late. The damage was done, and now the truth is coming out fast. Angel Reese just did something no one expected. She exposed herself on live TV. One off-script moment, and suddenly, weeks of headlines, investigations, and outrage are being questioned. Because what Reese said, it completely shattered the narrative. Her PR team probably wished they could rewind the cameras, but it was too late. The damage was done, and now the truth is coming out fast. It all started with a storm of controversy. Angel Reese, one of the most talked about players in the WNBA, claimed she and her teammates were targeted with racist remarks during a game against the Indiana Fever. Social media erupted, support poured in, and the headlines were everywhere. WNBA players under attack. League investigates racism at Fever game. The outrage was immediate. The calls for justice were loud, and the WNBA responded with a full-scale investigation. But that's just where the story began. The league didn't take this lightly. They launched a deep dive, interviewing fans, players, team staff, arena workers. Security footage was pulled. Broadcast audio combed through. Nothing. Not one shred of evidence. No fan was caught on tape saying anything hateful. No player reported hearing anything during the game. Even Chicago Sky coach Tyler Marsh admitted he didn't hear anything either. In fact, he said the team only heard about the allegations after the game on social media. So how did this go from a quiet arena to a national scandal? The league didn't take this lightly. They launched a deep dive, interviewing fans, players, team staff, arena workers. Security footage was pulled. Broadcast audio combed through. Nothing. Not one shred of evidence. No fan was caught on tape saying anything hateful. No player reported hearing anything during the game. Even Chicago Sky coach Tyler Marsh admitted he didn't hear anything either. In fact, he said the team only heard about the allegations after the game on social media. So how did this go from a quiet arena to a national scandal? Then came the moment that changed everything. Angel Reese sat down for what should have been a routine post-game interview, smiling, relaxed, casual, but maybe a little too comfortable. When asked about online hate and criticism, she responded with something nobody expected. "I've never had a negative encounter in person, ever." Wait, what? You heard that right. The same player who claimed she was targeted by racist fans just said she's never had a single bad encounter with anyone in person. The internet caught it immediately. Clips went viral. Basketball Twitter exploded. And journalists who'd run with her story, they were scrambling. Because what Reese said directly contradicted everything she'd claimed for the past month. It didn't take long for the house of cards to fall because Angel Reese's own words were the match that lit the fire. For weeks, we rolled the story that Reese had been the target of racial abuse by Indiana Fever fans. The media pushed it hard. Influencers chimed in, comment sections turned into battlegrounds. The WNBA even launched an official investigation, adding weight to the allegations. But then, out of nowhere, Reese said on camera, with reporters sitting just a few feet away, "I've never had a negative encounter in person, ever." Wait, what? That single line undid everything. Reporters looked stunned. You could almost feel the air leave the room. People began replaying the clip over and over. Was that a misstep? Was she joking? Did she not realize what she just admitted? But there was no walking it back. The statement was clear, and it was caught in crystal clear audio and video. Social media exploded. Did Angel Reese just admit the whole thing was fake? Wait, didn't she just spend weeks saying the exact opposite? The comments came in fast, and they weren't kind. Even longtime supporters started backing away. Some tried to spin her comment as being taken out of context, but it was too late. The damage had been done, and it was self-inflicted. And here's where it gets worse. This wasn't just some random gaffe. It directly clashed with her own past statements. Reese had previously claimed that a Fever fan shouted racial slurs at her during a game. She even recounted moments where fans allegedly blocked her from entering team hotels and used racial slurs. Very specific and very serious accusations. But now she says she's never once had a bad interaction with a fan. Not even one. That contradiction wasn't a small detail. It blew a massive hole in the entire narrative that had gripped the WNBA for weeks. Suddenly, it wasn't just about a controversial moment. It was about credibility. If this wasn't true, what else wasn't? Major sports networks were forced into damage control. ESPN, which had run story after story, treating the accusations as facts, had to awkwardly walk it all back on air. Analysts who once praised Reese's bravery were now noticeably silent or backpedaling. Some tried to pivot. She misspoke, they said. She meant something different. But no amount of spin could erase what everyone saw and heard. Even neutral fans were shocked. Because this wasn't just a bad look. It was a full-blown collapse of the narrative. And Angel Reese didn't just poke holes in the story.
Once Angel Reese's comment went viral, it wasn't just the fans who were scrambling. Her entire team's PR machine kicked into overdrive. The Chicago Sky suddenly clamped down hard on media access. Reporters who once had easy access to Reese were now met with tight restrictions. Post-game interviews? Shortened. One-on-ones? Rare. Team reps? Hovering nearby, ready to shut things down the second a tough question came up. And it wasn't subtle. Media outlets covering the WNBA started noticing the shift. Veteran reporters began whispering about tight control, carefully scripted responses, and handlers always within arm's reach. This wasn't the behavior of a team confident in the truth. This was textbook crisis management. And fans noticed too. Clips surfaced online of press conferences getting cut short as soon as the topic of the alleged racist incident came up. Social media was flooded with questions. Why is she suddenly being so protected? If it was all real, why hide? Because here's the thing, truth doesn't need a PR shield. Truth doesn't need a carefully crafted talking point. Truth speaks for itself. But the Chicago Sky weren't letting the truth speak. They were trying to control the narrative, and it backfired. The more they tried to contain the situation, the worse it looked. It started to feel like they were hiding something. And with every tightly managed press moment, public trust eroded just a little more. Then came the flashbacks. People started connecting dots. Last year, Reese claimed that a white fan of Caitlin Clark blocked her team from entering their hotel and called her a ghetto bitch. That story sparked a mini-media firestorm. The month before this controversy, she said she heard racist slurs during a Fever game. Now, she says none of it ever happened. Not a single negative encounter in person. And rather than clarify, her PR team was doing everything they could to shut the door on follow-up questions. It wasn't just inconsistent, it was suspicious. Some reporters, frustrated by the stonewalling, started to speak out. They said they'd never seen this level of media control around a WNBA player, not even the league's biggest stars. The message was clear. This wasn't just about protecting Angel Reese from hate. This was about protecting her from her own words. The Chicago Sky were trying to avoid a media disaster. This entire controversy didn't begin in the arena. It didn't start with an official report. It started with a tweet, one anonymous post, one vague claim about racist chants from Indiana Fever fans. No names, no videos, no proof, just outrage. And that was enough to set everything in motion. In today's world, a social media post doesn't need to be true. It just needs to go viral. And when it fits a convenient narrative, it spreads like wildfire. That's exactly what happened here. A few posts turned into trending hashtags. Then came the viral TikToks. Then the media picked it up. Within 24 hours, the incident was being discussed like it was fact, despite no actual evidence. It was a perfect storm, a hot-button issue, a high-profile player, a league hungry for mainstream headlines. But when the dust settled, it became clear. This wasn't a scandal. It was a hoax, one that lived, breathed, and thrived on social media. And Angel Reese, she didn't just benefit from it, she amplified it. This is where things start getting uncomfortable. Because while Reese was telling the world she was being targeted, people started digging through her own social media history. And what they found was hard to ignore. She had mocked Caitlin Clark in multiple TikTok videos. She reposted jokes and memes that painted Clark as a white girl running from the fade. She leaned into the villain role online, playing to her fan base with calculated provocation. And yet, here she was, claiming to be the victim of online abuse? It didn't add up. How can you cry foul when you're also throwing punches? The hypocrisy was glaring. Reese had built a persona around being bold, brash, and unbothered. She branded herself as unapologetic and reveled in being the center of attention. But now, when
When the spotlight turned harsh, she and her team tried to flip the script, positioning her as a misunderstood hero under attack. But social media doesn't forget. Screenshots surfaced, videos resurfaced, and public opinion started to shift. People began asking, was this all part of the plan? Did she exaggerate the drama to stay in the headlines? Was this about safety or about attention? Even longtime supporters started going quiet because the receipts didn't lie. Reese had fueled drama online for months, but when things spun out of control, she wanted sympathy, not accountability. And the most ironic part, the same social media that built the narrative was now tearing it apart. The truth had a funny way of surfacing, and what started as a movement of support was now becoming a case study in how quickly false stories can spiral and how easily reputations can collapse under the weight of their own contradictions.
Angel Reese didn't just stumble, she imploded. In a matter of days, her public image flipped from brave underdog to exposed opportunist. She had built her brand on strength, confidence, and fearlessness, but now her credibility was in freefall. She wasn't just facing criticism from fans, she was being called out by journalists, former players, and even people who once defended her. Supporters went silent. The media, once eager to amplify her claims, were now backtracking, scrambling to explain how they got it wrong. But the one person who wasn't speaking up, Angel Reese herself. No apology, no clarification, just silence, and a trail of contradictions left behind. She accused an entire fan base of racism, one of the most serious accusations you can make. The WNBA launched a full investigation. The league's reputation took a hit, and now, after all of that, she admits she's never had a negative encounter, and she doesn't even say, "My bad," not a single word to the fans whose names she dragged through the mud. That silence hit harder than anything else. Because silence, in this case, wasn't strength, it was guilt. Meanwhile, on the other side of this chaos, something else was happening. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, two of the biggest names dragged into this mess, emerged looking more powerful than ever. They didn't engage in public mudslinging. They didn't clap back on social media. They didn't push narratives or demand apologies. They just played and kept winning the hearts of fans. While Reese and her camp fumbled for damage control, Clark showed what real leadership looks like. Staying focused, professional, and composed, even as people took shots at her character. The fans noticed, the media noticed, and the narrative started to shift. Now, it wasn't just a story of a controversy. It was a contrast between a player who used social media to stir drama and another who let her game do the talking. Between a team caught up in a PR scandal and a team that earned national respect through integrity and patience. Indiana Fever fans, once labeled as the villains of this story, were now being applauded for their restraint. They were accused, investigated, exonerated, and through it all, they kept showing up, game after game, to support their team. Caitlin Clark went from rising star to symbol of class and grace under pressure. Angel Reese, she became the cautionary tale. The villain role she once proudly claimed had stopped being fun, because now it wasn't a character, it was real, and no amount of social media flair could undo the damage. The fallout wasn't just about one game or one interview, it was about trust, and Reese, for many, had lost. This story isn't just about one player. It's about what happens when false accusations spread faster than facts. It's about a league desperate for headlines, getting caught up in a viral lie. And it's about fans who were unfairly smeared by a story that had no evidence behind it. Now, media outlets are facing hard questions. The WNBA's credibility has taken a hit. And Angel Reese? Her reputation may never fully recover. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever emerged from this scandal stronger, more respected, and more unified than ever. In a world where controversy spreads faster than facts, the truth doesn't always win, but this time it did. Angel Reese accidentally told the truth on live TV, and no amount of PR spin can walk that back. So, the next time the Fever face the sky, it's not just another game, it's personal. If you stand with the truth and with Indiana, drop a comment below that says, "I've got the Fever." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications.